In episode 77, we have a say what battle and an amen battle, predictably focused on politics. We'll take a look at Tim Walz, Kamala Harris's VP pick. Kenny's going to lead us in some trivia, and Jeremy is going to close us out in Fix Your Eyes.
From the sunset and beaches of Florida up through the Ohio River Valley, we take a walk through Wisconsin Dairyland and touch down in the state with 10,000 lakes. You're listening to Six in the Mix. Join our show personalities, Don, known as Donnie 10 Times, Matt, we call him T-Loke, Ryan, known as HD11, Kenny is our Mr. Money, and Jeremy, Estad, as we talk all things faith, family, sports, and of course, a little politics. As always, we invite you to be our sixth on the show, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. You're listening to Six in the Mix.
All right. Again, we welcome you to episode 77 of Six in the Mix. Again, please drop comments, topic suggestions on the Facebook page or Instagram. You can find our videos on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Rumble. Please share with family and friends who need to laugh or be encouraged to pursue Christ. We seek to do all those things during every episode. So let's start off. We're coming off the heels of the Democratic National Convention. So we're recording this on the Sunday after that. And so obviously our amen and say what battles have got a lot of politics in them just because it's such a charged time right now. And so we'll take a look, a lot of DNC related stuff, but I think we've got a pretty cool say what battle. So let's go episode 77, say what.
Sidewalk!
And she's also a historic candidate. You know, it's going to be the first woman president. And that's incredibly exciting. And, you know, she's Indian, she's Black, she's everything. You can be more than one thing. It's incredible. You know, I'm Jewish and Irish. I wish I was Black. Every white Jewish guy wishes he was Black.
Oh, I don't think I'm a lot dumber than you thought that I thought I was once.
She and my father didn't aspire to be wealthy. In fact, they were suspicious of folks who took more than they needed. They understood that it wasn't enough for their kids to thrive if everyone else around us was drowning.
Oh, really?
They were suspicious of folks who took more than they needed.
Barack Obama seems to be enjoying the good life since ending his run as U.S. president. Here he is on a yacht in French Polynesia, snapping a solo shot of his wife, Michelle.
In fact, they were suspicious of folks who took more than they needed.
That's a lot of money.
I do want to say one word about President Biden. He voluntarily gave up political power.
You can't always get what you want.
Donald Trump and the Republican friends, they not only can't think, they can't read very well. Seriously, think about it.
Donald Trump and the Republican friends, they not only can't think, they can't read very well.
A few moments later.
In its decision overturning Roe v. Wade, as you heard earlier tonight, the United States Supreme Court majority wrote the following, quote, women are not without electoral or political power. Donald Trump and the Republican friends, they not only can't think, they can't read very well. Women are not without electoral or political power.
He can't read.
No kidding.
Take it from a man who once had the honor to be called in this convention the man from hope. We need Kamala Harris, the president of joy.
Repeat the line.
We need Kamala Harris, the president of joy, to lead us.
It's not Kamala. It's not Kamala. It's not Kamala.
It's Kamala.
Kamala Harris.
It's Kamala. Yeah, just think of like a comma and add a la.
Kamala Harris.
And it's just so unnecessary. So wrong.
Well, let's hear you say it.
Told him I wanted to be the last person in the room before he made important decisions. That's what I asked Kamala.
It's just too awesome. You know, for far too long, the status quo thinking has been to believe that by putting more police on the street, you're going to have more safety. And that's just wrong. Putting more police on the street, you're going to have more safety. And that's just wrong.
Yeah, you sure right about that.
Putting more police on the street, you're going to have more safety. And that's just wrong.
All right. So, episode 77, Say What? Got some pretty good contenders. We're going to kick it off. We're going to go Don, Ryan, Jeremy, Kenny on thoughts. Don, what do you say?
Well, I'm going to go with the newcomer to the Say What battle, Ben Stiller.
Okay.
Very first clip. I liked the propaganda machine is just in full overdrive right now, and it's just incredible. And it's absolutely incredible to be a witness to this in this time that we live in. And the fact that he would get on there and say, "I wish I was black." I mean, I'm just like, you just can't. It literally writes itself. It's unbelievable.
You can't make it up.
Nope.
You can't make it up. Ryan, what do you say?
Yeah, tempting to go with the newcomer. I'll go with kind of a newcomer. I don't think we've seen him too much, and that's Bill Clinton. Yeah. I mean, you can kind of understand. I think that clip from Tucker Carlson where who was it that was not pronouncing it? I guess it was Biden probably before Tucker started laughing hysterically. You know, that was a while back. But at this point, if you're a Democrat and you're calling people racist for not saying it right at the convention, Clinton probably should have had that nailed down. But appreciate the animals inserts on those videos. We had a sheep, I think, and a camel, and yeah, nice variety.
Yeah, I think that campaign video where they shared how to pronounce it was back in 2020. I don't think that's a recent one. I think that's been around for a while. To understand it to a certain extent, I always try to pronounce people's names right. So I don't think we should be pronouncing people's name intentionally wrong. But it's funny they pronounce any Republican who says it is automatically racist, and you're doing it. You're doing it on purpose just to spite her and because you're racist. Yeah, but if a Democrat says it, no, we didn't hear that. No. No,
it's just fine.
Unbelievable.
It's fine if that happens. And I'll say this: I've struggled getting it down, and it's not for any racist motivations or anything like that. I just think I've just heard so many people say it so many different ways. I just haven't landed. I think I appreciate her saying Kamala.
Yeah,
and, Aaron's helped me with that recently too. So I think I'm doing much better.
Yeah, we should at least when we're critiquing her and trying to disagree with her, all of her, what she believes in and says she's for, we should at least say her name right. So it's all good. Jeremy, what do you think?
Yeah, well, my say what was with Clinton as well. When Bill was like pointing his finger and says, tilts his head and use the word, quote, voluntarily. I was like,
right.
What? There's just no way. I mean, there's it's just a clear say what. I mean, there's no way. And even with interviews that have happened with Biden afterwards, I mean, he has as much as said, this is what needed to happen, except I didn't, come up with this. It was told to him.
Yep.
Oh, that's just frustrating. But yeah, anyway, great clips, Matt.
Yeah. Kenny, what do you say?
Yeah, those are all fantastic. I'm with Don, Ryan, I'm with all you guys. I guess I'll say this as a synopsis. It's the hypocrisy is what just gets me of all these things. Like the saying her name wrong. The Joe Biden saying that Republicans and Trump, Trumpers can't read or anything, and then he just bumbles over his speech. The Obamas living just a king's life, and then talking about whatever, how horrible it is for people to have more than they should. And it's just nonstop hypocrisy and just absolute trash. The Ben Stiller thing, I mean, it's just trash. It really is. It's just a clown show. And I think like Don said, it's just going to, well, he might have alluded to it. It's just going to keep on getting worse and worse. So.
Yeah. It was fun to add some newcomers because obviously the conventions will drum up, folks old from the past. And you could have played 8,000 more clips. But it was good to have some newcomers. Speaking of newcomers, we're going to move to Amen, episode 77. And we've got two unexpected newcomers. And I'm going to let you know who they are ahead of time. We've got Dana Bash from CNN. Yep, Dana Bash and Jon Stewart making an appearance on Amen 77. I mean, who would have thunk it? I mean, the odds on that were not great, but they both had contributions to make, and I think you'll enjoy them in Amen 77.
Kit Maher, CNN. I know Donald Trump has been reported.
She's one of the good CNN reporters. There's like two of them. She's okay.
Back to my question. So Donald Trump has enlisted the help of Tulsi Gabbard to prep for his debate. I'd like to know how you were prepping for a debate with Tim Walz, who has described himself as a bad debater. Who's helping you, and how are you prepping?
Well, I found a good friend from back home who embellishes and lies a lot, and I'm having him stand in for Tim Walz. That's what we're doing during our debate.
2 hours later.
Thank you, everybody, very much. Thank you for coming. Who was here in 2021? Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Oh my, the World Tag Team Champions, Batista, getting!
My name is Jade. I am a former Democrat. Unlike Kamala Harris, I'm an actual real-life black woman. And I'm a former Democrat who is currently registered Republican. I stand here before you today because I'm tired. I'm tired of the Democrats using the generational trauma of my people to garner votes. They invoke fear. They tell me I'm oppressed. They tell me I'm less than. They tell me I'm not good enough. And they tell me that my white brothers and sisters in Christ are my enemy. No. They are not. As a follower of Jesus Christ, Ephesians 5:11 tells me I must expose the works of the enemy. And the enemy is telling me that don't worry that I can't pay my bills, that I'm working 6 days a week this week and I'm tired. And I went to school and I have a career. I'm doing worse under this administration than in Donald Trump's administration, but I'm told to be afraid of a man who made my life better.
But they are doing so in trying to put forward male figures, Tim Walz being one of them, Doug Emhoff last night, who can speak to men out there who might not be the sort of testosterone-laden, gun-toting kind of guy who wants to listen to Hulk Hogan and...
Now, there's another way you can tell you're Republican. Your faith in free enterprise, faith in the resourcefulness of the American people, and faith in the U.S. economy. And to those critics who are so pessimistic about our economy, I say, don't be economic girly man.
They had a guy yelling, "Screw the billionaires," followed immediately by a very happy billionaire. They had guys making fun of people for going to Yale and a bunch of people who went to Yale. The Democrats had people who prosecuted sexual predators and...
I think I just saw the funniest thing I'll ever see.
We have a country that is being failed by its present leadership. And don't let anybody gaslight you here, because Kamala Harris is running around the country and saying that on day one she wants to bring the cost of goods and the cost of housing under control. She says that on day one she wants to make groceries and homes more affordable for American citizens. Well, Kamala Harris, where have you been? Because you've been vice president for about 1,300 days. Day one was 3.5 years ago. You should have been doing your job then and not promising to do it now.
All righty. So Amen 77. We'll do the reverse order. Your thoughts. I'll start with Kenny.
Yeah, those are great, by the way. Jon Stewart. I'm not just. It was really cool to see Jon Stewart and exactly what we talked about in the Say What battle. Just all the hypocrisy. It's kind of cool to see them call it out. But I really want to highlight real quick Jade Gillen. I had not seen that clip yet. That was really, really refreshing to see. And the truth that these, it kind of reminds me, not that she's there, but Candace, what's her name?
Candace Owens.
Owens, yeah. It reminds me of that type of an individual who just finally the light just turns on. Like they are telling us we're oppressed. They're telling us these things, and sadly, so many of the youth are believing that they're oppressed and that they should hate white people. And it's like none of that is true. Like none of that is valid. And it's so encouraging to see somebody get up there and talk in a public stage, quote the Bible, Ephesians 5:11. So that was really cool.
Yeah, it's great. Jeremy, what do you think?
Yeah, that was my first choice too. But since Kenny took that, I heard that whole interview. It's worth listening to. You should go and listen to it. That went viral quick. Well, I'm gonna go my runner up with JD Vance right at the end. Like, you've been in office for how many days, and you're promising day one. How many times have you heard that? That would be a great clip to go through and say, how many times has Kamala, Harris said on day one, and then look at the record. Like, people wake up. This is not going to change. There is nothing that is going to change. So this campaign of joy or whatever is going on, I just hope that more than our podcast, more people just kind of have intelligent conversations with people to expose that and say, look, they've had, over 1,000 days in office. And what's happened? What is currently happening? How are they fighting for the U.S. Middle class and the people of the U.S. and making America first? I just don't see it. Anyway, Kudos to JD Vance.
Yeah, Jeremy, in kind of in a unique way. In this is not true in certainly most elections, I wouldn't think. But you've got two people, one who was the president before, so you've got 4 years of his. How did he operate? What happened there? And then you've got Kamala, who is part of the administration these past 4 years. So you've got a very clear contrast, good or bad, however you look at it. You have two people who can't say day one. They've lived day one. They've basically lived and led 4 years as part of an administration. One is president, one is vice president. So yeah, there's no day one for any of them. This is, your record speaks for itself. And so let's talk about what the stats show. So Ryan, what do you got?
I'm going to go with that young lady from Arizona, Jade. Kenny mentioned her earlier, and I agree. I'm just, again, I'm not black. I don't feel like I'm owned by the Democrats. I mean, that was her sentiment, I think, for people like herself. And so I don't know what that's like, but I would never let a party control me. And you get that. That's what she's felt like it's been for her. But she looks at reality. She's using common sense. I just want people to feel empowered to vote for whatever their future, the best future is going to be. And we need more people coming to that realization. I mean, I don't know. We get caught up in parties, and I'm not so much a party guy. I certainly like conservatism and conservative values. But if Trump's going to spend $2 trillion, I'll call him out on that too. We don't need more inflation. We don't need more crazy spending. But I appreciate the courage that she showed. And I hope more people come around to that reality that what are the Democrats doing for them? I mean, you heard Biden tell, I think it was Charlemagne that one time, if you're not voting Democrat, you're not black. I mean, you talk about a sense of ownership. It's just horrific. And that should have freed people up to the reality. Like, what is going on here? These people don't own us.
Right.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Good. Don, what do you say?
Well, I hope we got the button bar ready, because I think we got to remember at the 22-minute mark, I think Ryan said that he's not a party guy. So yeah, we got to remember that, because I know not to invite Ryan to parties. That's that much is a given. But I do know one person I'm inviting, and that you all know is Kamiella. She will be a part of that invite. And now, obviously Tim Walz and
nope, not after that first segment.
No, I'm going to go with JD Vance on that last clip, because I cannot wait to watch the debate between JD Vance and Timothy Walz. That's going to be fun to watch. I think that's going to be worth the price of admission, and it's gonna, just like there. I mean, as much as they want to go to ground and let the media run their campaign, they're not going to be able to get away from a debate stage, and it's going to be brutal. So I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with the first Vance clip, and I think it's such a like a dichotomy, very clear dichotomy between the Biden, or pardon me, Biden. I'm sounding like Biden now. The Trump Vance campaign and the Harris Walz campaign. You've got Vance up there. Hey, whatever, members of the media, let's ask questions. Let's do that. Trump is after stuff. Hey, whatever you got to ask, we'll answer it. Press conference after press conference after press conference. From Walz and Harris, nothing unscripted, nothing at all. And you talk about they tote, hey, we are the party of transparency. We're bringing order back. They are hiding. It's just so absurd, and it's just, and we obviously know there's spiritual implications, right? The God of this world has blinded the minds, not just to the gospel, but just to basic truth and reality. Like, they can say one thing and it's the absolute opposite of it, and yet a majority of the population, they go with it, and it's just so stunning. And I just pray that again, Trump and Vance aren't perfect, none of us are, but they're actually answering the questions. They're taking the questions and they're answering them. why is not everyone demanding that of Harrison Walls? It's absolutely unbelievable. I do think that pressure is going to mount to an insurmountable point, and that's when you're going to start to see cracks in that very thin facade for the Democrats. And I hope that comes maybe right around debate time. But I think the pressure's got to be mounting even on both sides, because they just can't keep this facade up.
But the Democrats in 2020, they got away with hiding Biden in the basement that whole campaign. So maybe they think maybe they know something about this sort of strategy. And of course, if Republicans tried to hide out like that, how would they be blasted by the media continuously? Yeah. It is just so bizarre.
Right. And I think back in 2020, though, you had Biden, who was old and decrepit already, and there was COVID around. So it was a very clear excuse. This time, there's really not that excuse. So you kind of wonder if they're going to try to they can't hide behind that very unique veil that they had in 2020, in my opinion.
Has Kamala still not done an interview?
She's 36 or 37. Nope.
Not a serious, not a serious interview. No, they had a kind of a scripted fun interview with somebody I saw, but
no, but it's all nothing.
Yeah, nothing. And Matt, I was going to say, I don't know if you guys saw this or not. This would have been a fun one, maybe for the Amen battle. Usually it's something they say, but if you could have had like an Amen segment where like the best troll, did you guys see Matt Walsh in the CNN background at the DNC?
Oh, he did a couple great things.
Oh, that was great. You've got, if you haven't seen it, you need to just look for. So Matt Walsh, he's disguised in his "Am I Racist?" his new movie. You know, he's got this man bun and this hat and White Guys for Harris T-shirt on, and somehow he had gotten kicked out of the convention earlier that day. I mean, he was escorted out when they identified who he was. He got back in that night somehow. He got down to the floor and he goes behind Chuck Schumer doing a CNN interview, and he's just kind of going back.
That's so great. It's so funny.
You got to find it.
I'm telling, Daily Wire's got some. They're doing some pretty fantastic stuff. I mean, they really are. It's pretty incredible what they're doing, and I support them. And obviously, this is not like, I mean, they're not supporting us necessarily, but if you're looking for some conservative commentary, certainly not. They got a wide breadth from a spiritual side perspective, but just very conservative and very thoughtful commentary, and funny as all rip. Like Daily Wire is somebody who you could put your money behind with confidence, for sure. So, all right, well, definitely had a great time in Amen and Say What. We're going to turn it over to Don to talk a little Tim Walz, a little Minnesota governor. Minnesota's on the map, Don. It's on the map.
You know, I want to share with our listeners just a little peek behind the curtain, because I originally did not want to talk about this. I originally sent out a request to talk about drinking coffee during church. I was shot down because they all wanted to talk about Timothy Walz, Tampon Tim, right? I did, because I've just been reliving my last 6 years as everybody learns about Tim Walz now being in the national limelight. And what we've been going through here in Minnesota for the last 6 years. Tim Walz is a Minnesota governor, as everybody knows, and he was elected governor in 2018, and then reelected and started his second term in 2022 or 23, I should say. And so we've got him for the next 4 years in 2027. And should Tim Walz and Kamala Harris win the election and be selected as the next president and vice president, then what would happen is that we would have another, what would we have with the the lieutenant governor, Flanagan.
Oh, is that?
That will be, she will take the place. She will be our first woman governor. She is also a Native American in descent. And so everybody's excited for that and looking forward to that, I'm sure. But I couldn't help but be fascinated with the way that the campaign has been going for Tim Walz and Harris, because like I think it was referred to as the campaign of joy, or whatever, what we would call that, just how joyous everybody is, and how joyful everybody, how joyful and fun loving and silly and like your uncle from up north Minnesota, Tim Walz is, and just let me show you what an entrance he made at the campaign rally. Check this out. I mean, I feel like I was sold a bill of goods here, because I have not seen this guy act like this until now. I can't help but think of it, man. That guy is really showing me a good way of, how should I say it? I mean, I feel like that is the way I want to enter the pearly gates. That's the way I want to enter the pearly gates. I mean, it kind of reminds me of this.
And I lift this veil from my eyes and I fly away. I waited all of my life for this day when I step my dirty feet through the pearly gate, and I finally see my best friend face to face. I'm in heaven. Oh, oh. I'm in heaven. Down the streets of gold, and I'm almost surrounded by everyone I've ever known. Can't help but notice there's a perfect
smile. So I had to get that out. I mean, I got to look at this to the funnier side, but in all seriousness, let's get down to business here. This. What we've been living through here in Minnesota for the last 6 years is anything short of remarkable. We're still on the map, and I don't say that in any type of melodramatic way or anything like that. In all seriousness, it is that bad. And I want to show you a quick video that was put together that kind of introduces Tim Walz to everybody. Into what Minnesota has gone through and it's just a 1:42-second video that kind of talks about this. I want to talk specifically about a couple things that they delve into in this video. So I'm going to show this to
Bill Walz, center of the American Experiment. Lots of talk about Tim Walz on the national level right now, so we thought we'd do Tim Walz's Minnesota in 5 easy charts. Forget about, for now, his personality, his leadership, who he is. Let's just talk about how Minnesota has fared under his leadership. First chart, education test scores are down. Less than half of Minnesota kids can read or do math at grade level, even as spending has increased.
If those kids could read, they'd be very upset.
Second, crime is up. Minnesota forever has been below the national average in FBI Part 1 crimes. We are now above the average. We're a high crime state.
Not great, Bob.
Third, GDP per capita is down.
I am once again asking for your financial support.
Again, Minnesota has enjoyed a huge advantage by being higher than the national average when it comes to GDP. We are now below the national average in GDP and GDP growth. Fourth, electricity prices are up.
This is how much we pay for electric? Well, yeah.
Again, we've lost our advantage when it comes to cheap electricity. That's what's fueled mining, manufacturing, agriculture, refining in Minnesota forever. Now with these renewable energy mandates from Tim Walz, we're forced into using unreliable and expensive energy sources like wind and solar.
Shut up about the sun!
And last but not least, migration. People are leaving the state of Minnesota, probably the most important chart. We are a net loser, a net exporter of Minnesotans in all income levels except the bottom two. And that's Tim Walz's Minnesota in 5 easy charts.
Weird.
So I want to focus one thing I want to focus on is the education and how Tim Walz, an educator himself at one point, and what he has done to the state of Minnesota. And I'm actually seeing this firsthand as I'm a senior in high school right now. And I am she experienced her first day of her senior year this past Thursday. And she came home with the most unbelievable type of assignment that you could not think of or think up of a 17-year-old scholar to have to do. And that is talk about the intersectionality and how it relates to everybody in the classroom and how you're affected by it. And going through all these different scenarios of how each of them are oppressed, and to actually make these high schoolers think and teach them and train them and ingrain in them that they are victims, that they are oppressed. A 17-year-old student has to think about this. And as she comes home and tells me about this, she of course doesn't believe it. She thinks it's a bunch of garbage. She's doing it just to get credits for college. And but she says, you know what, 90% of those kids probably believe this. And it's sad to me that this is what we are training our children in, especially the state of Minnesota, as far as education goes. This is what we are ingraining in them, that they are victims. Now, apart from education, we also I wanted to focus on the crime. This is not the Minnesota I grew up in. This is far from something I've ever thought was possible. I work from home in Brooklyn Park. I'm about, half a block away from the Mississippi River on the north side, on the border of Maple Grove and Anoka. And I have meetings in my home, on Zoom calls and things like that with agencies that are in Kentucky, that are in New York, in the rural areas of those states. And they remarked to me during my call as sirens are screaming down down my backyard, because I live up next to somewhat of a major thoroughfare. And they are remarking to me, like, what is going on there? It's just a known thing now that when I have a call with someone, they're going to more than likely hear sirens going down my street. It's unbelievable to me, the fact that I can't even go downtown Minneapolis at night and not fear for my life. That's something that's unheard of. I worked downtown for 15 years. And it was there were the seedy parts always, but you knew not to go down certain streets or that thing. But it's incredible to me the change that has happened since 2018. And lastly, I want to talk about is how it affected the state of Minnesota is that we had the George Floyd riots, and this to me was what surprised me the most on his reelection. I was like, there's just no way this guy could get reelected after what he put the state of Minnesota through in the final year of his first term. And what he did to the city of Minneapolis is unrehensible to me, and I just cannot believe that a man would be gifted and chosen to be run as a vice president in Harris's campaign. How he reacted, or his inability to react to the situation at hand. It took 3 days. It was 3 days of riots, and he hesitated to deploy the National Guard during those 3 days. And he did it because he was fearing backlash from his party's activist base. And when he finally did deploy the National Guard, the violence ceased almost immediately. It's just crazy to think that this man has been able to get himself reelected, for one, which I have thoughts on how that was able to happen, because he is kind of running the same type of campaign that Biden did in the fact that he went to ground. Same thing happened in 2022 in the campaign. He was running against Jensen, the Republican candidate for governor. And his debates were a train wreck, and yet he still was somehow able to manage a victory in the election. I think that's something that's going to happen in the coming months as they go to ground. And again, they're doing it already. They're letting the media run the presidential election campaign, and I think there was a deal made. I don't have proof of this, but I think there was a deal made by Walz in 2022 to somehow make the election winnable for him in order to be governor and be reelected governor. And I think that's why they chose him as the vice president candidate, because he can be bought, because he can be manipulated. He can be used as a puppet to be able to fashion and make changes in the way that the elites want to use him. So I have a question for you guys. I got a reaction from you guys as far as your thoughts on how Tim Walz just came to power in this vice president selection bidding that has been bestowed upon him. Do you think it was a good? We kind of talked about it briefly, I think, in our last podcast. But did you see it coming? Were you surprised? And also, do you buy into this whole idea of him being a coach and an educator and all this stuff? Is this something that the Harris campaign needed? Does this fit their mold? What are your guys' thoughts on this? I'll start with Jeremy. What do you think? And I'll go to Matt and Kenny and then Ryan.
Well, I mean, Don, you're pushing the buttons of identity politics. Someone who is going to like Biden, and I think others in the Democratic Party far before these players that we have today, perhaps they were doing it, just not as obvious as we see today. Partly because of what we see in Biden's health and other things. It's obvious to not just us, but the media now finally admitted these things and other things. But back to the point, Walz. What I find very interesting is that yes, they're painting the picture of all these good things: coach, dad, teacher, all this good stuff. But I'm reading things where he's falsely advertised himself, where when it comes to his service in the National Guard and what level of rank that he held or didn't hold. Awards that he got in Nebraska for business, and they didn't give him any awards for business, yet he let those things just kind of go in the media and let the media run with it. No, I'm not going to correct the record. I'm just going to ride that wave. I don't trust people who ride that kind of identity to as far as it can get them. And often it gets them to power, and it gets them to money, and it gets them to prestige. And these are not the people that should be governing our country, ultimately. So I'm not necessarily surprised that he is where he is today. I am a little surprised, and maybe I shouldn't be, but I am a little surprised that we haven't heard peep about all these things from the media. We just haven't heard them talk or had to answer for anything. And so what's the general public supposed to believe? If those questions are never asked and they're never having to answer them, all it is identity politics. All they go on is what they see in the commercials and what we're told and fed on all the social media sites that we see. So I'm a little bit frustrated at that. Anyway, those are my thoughts.
Right, Matt?
Yeah, it's been, obviously I'm not in Minnesota now. I've been in Ohio for 13 years. So I don't really have a lot of interaction, at least locally, with Tim Walz, other than knowing his name. But as he's come to light more, I think that the thing that's most concerning, and Jeremy, you touched on it on one of them, just the lying. But I think for me, just the policies that he so not only passionately backed, but worked to get into the law of Minnesota, and those things are things that are directly opposed to what God says in his word and who God is. Protect the children. No, we'll mutilate the children. We'll separate the nuclear family unit if the parent doesn't want to go along with this mutilation, this gender confusion. We'll be a sanctuary city. We'll separate you even if you don't live in Minnesota. We'll take your kids. How wicked is that, right? And the abortion, the level of abortion that's allowed now, and how they strip the language down to where you can have post-birth abortions. They purposely did that. The wickedness, you go back to look in the Bible, the wicked enemies of Israel were all child sacrificers. I mean, they would sacrifice their children. This is no different. And he takes pride in the very things that God called most wicked back in the day, and certainly still calls them now. So he's very scary. And yeah, the media are just covering up all that stuff because they love all this progressive, inclusive stuff couched in coaching and teaching and blah blah blah. But it's really it's a bloodlust for power. And it's a bloodlust to get these wicked schemes and sins to be lawful, the lawful, statutes of the land. And that's just, wow. It's actually, it's unthinkable. I can't fathom it.
Kenny.
Okay. So as far as his, getting this vice president call or whatever, I will say when I first came up, I was surprised, but then it took me about 2 minutes and I was like, yeah, he's probably going to get it. Like, it makes perfect sense. He fits in perfectly with what they're doing, which is ruining our country and ruining whatever they can. It makes sense. I will say, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, I actually saw him speak in person. I went to I don't know if it was a chamber event or something, but with the company I work for. And it was actually a really good, I think it was about transportation. I think he spoke on transportation and the needs and the issues, and I was actually impressed. So I say that to say, I think when he's well prepared on something, I believe that may be part of the reason why he's brought in, because I think he can be a very good public speaker if he's prepared. But I don't think, again, if it comes to something he's not prepared on, I mean, he's a baffling fool like the others. Like, it's just what they are. But then you look at, why did Kenny and, why did me and my wife and my family move to Florida? Well, he was a big reason. He was a massive part of the reason. The whole George Floyd thing, what happened after that, what happened during COVID. I mean, they were, Matt, you talked about it. It's everything that's wrong. Let's make a decision that can ruin as many people as possible, and those are the decisions we're going to make. And we want no part of it. I heard, I think it's my mother-in-law's neighbor who said, maybe a friend or something, but they said, yeah, well, if he does get elected, or if they get elected, at least we'll have a different governor. They live in Minnesota, so it's like they're trying to find the bright side. It's like there's no bright side to this if this happens. And and I try to, I don't want to sound like, we hate Democrats and we hate everything that they do and say, and if it's a Democrat, we don't like them. Obama could speak. Obama could at least speak clearly on topics. He actually had knowledge. This ballot, they have no knowledge of anything. Foreign policy, like nothing. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me that this is a possibility.
Kenny, didn't you watch the DNC? They told me, and I learned something. They said she's got the most experience. She's won the tough elections. She's got the charisma, the stamina, the experience, the standing to be great. You don't believe that?
No. I totally believe it. She also brags about how she with a swipe of my pen, I can put somebody behind bars and ruin their lives, and like she brags about just evil, about pure evil. So yeah, but no, I don't totally believe that.
Good.
Ryan, go ahead.
True leadership shows up, and it's clearest in times of difficulty. And you guys have mentioned this already, but George Floyd, the riots, his response, terrible. You think about how many Minnesotans' lives were shattered, their businesses shattered, their dreams were shattered because he was ill prepared to make the right decision at that time. Like you said, it took him 3 days. And, that's when Trump gave him praise, when he did the right thing. And, they're spinning that now like, oh, yeah, Walz got praised by Trump. Well, that was 3 days post, 3 days tardy, shall we say. So that was a huge blunder. I have friends who think like we do generally, and they've been okay with Walz up until, I would say, 2020. But what a blunder. And then you throw in COVID. And I know, the five of us might have different views on how to handle COVID and that sort of thing. That's fine. But I don't ever think the government should be mandating, especially stepping into the church realm. And they certainly were happy to do that in the state of Minnesota. I don't know. You might remember this. Those of you, Kenny, were you still here in 2020 in Minnesota? You were, right? You were still here during that time? Yeah. So they said, he's such a special guy. One of his great lines now is, mind your own business. We tell the government to mind your own business. And that's what was he doing? Thanksgiving of 2020. Do you know that my in-laws were going to come here, but we feared neighbors were going to snitch on us? So wow. we ended up going to Oklahoma, which is fine. We were with family. But when I got to Oklahoma, the amount of freedom and lack of that mind your own business mentality was just so refreshing. I'm like, wow, this feels like normal life down here. And I have absolutely considered moving out of the state of Minnesota just because of the state of affairs in Minnesota. And Don, you've talked in previous episodes about some of the religious liberty concerns we have going on. I don't know what the updates are there, but I'm sure he's all game. He's all in for anything else that can be done. So there's part of me that would love to leave Minnesota just because of the leadership. And to Don's point, I don't know how this guy got reelected. You would think after the COVID debacle and after the George Floyd debacle, I mean, at the very basic tenet of a government is to keep people safe. And when he let the crowds go wild, the rioters go wild, that should have disqualified him right there on the spot. And the last thing I'll say, Don, going to your question of my thoughts on how he got on the ticket, I wasn't surprised. I figured he was a roughly top two choice once they started narrowing things down. If they were wise, they would have gone with Shapiro, I think, out of Pennsylvania. I think that would have maybe secured Pennsylvania for them. So maybe we don't think they're that bright, but maybe they're less bright than we even thought. But I think it goes to this, and it's a reflection of the George Floyd riots. I think she looked around and said, who is another lover of chaos? Oh, the governor of Minnesota. He seems to love chaos. That was a phrase my administrator at the Christian school where I taught would like to say to the junior hires. He'd say they love chaos. They love chaos. And we saw Walz letting them have their say, having their day, the lovers of chaos in the streets of Minnesota. And who was bailing them out of prison?
Yeah, exactly.
Kamala. So they were teaming up back in 2020.
Can I ask a question quick of those of you in Minnesota? Is there still a precinct that is still not up and running and completely vacant downtown because of those riots? Or am I thinking of a different state? I thought I saw recently that I thought it was Minnesota, but maybe I was misunderstanding the interview.
I believe that the third precinct in Minneapolis is gone. Yeah, they burnt that thing to the ground. I don't believe it reopened. They also
it's done, right?
Yeah, they also did a number on the Brooklyn Center precinct, which is just about 5 minutes away from me. In the other riots, who was that individual that was shot by the cop who was put away in jail? But that was another round of riots that that Walls was a part of and responsible for.
And from what I understand, the Minneapolis Police Department, they cannot they can't really recruit anybody. They're having people leave, retire early. Yeah. You guys are just losing people like crazy. And I would assume Tim's just fine with that, because after all, we really don't need that kind of, security. Right. Just to go back to our, previous clips, that police actually, they don't really do anything.
Right. And that goes back to Walls's whole viewpoint of not bringing in National Guard, because if we bring in the National Guard, it'll only make things worse. It will only create more chaos, because it will antagonize the activists. So that's why that's in his thinking. That's why he did not bring in the National Guard. I mean, the level of incompetence, I honestly think maybe that Harris looked at it and says, okay, who can I find that's more incompetent than me? And I think Walls was the answer. I think he's a great great shoes to fill there. I'll just close with this. I think with the COVID-19 thing, not only was it a debacle in the way he responded to it, just the amount of mismanagement that happened through COVID-19. He spent $7 million on an unused morgue. He had this morgue all ready to go because he was so prepared. He was so ready for all these deaths that were going to start happening, that the bodies were going to start piling up, and we needed some place to stack them. He spent $7 million on an unused morgue, and they were just sitting there abandoned. And then on top of that, after COVID-19, what's coming out now in the courts right now is the mismanagement of COVID funds. Right now, there's the COVID fraud is unbelievable. At this point, right now, it's at $250 million worth of stolen or wasted money of COVID funds, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, what we don't know is incredible, and what they're finding out and uncovering is only going to increase the dollar signs. And lastly, what was that? Well, lastly, I think we talked kind of hinted at it is, am I going to be able to live in Minnesota? I don't think I can. I don't think I'm going to be able to afford to be able to live in Minnesota in the next, especially by 2026, 27, when our payroll taxes will have increased by then by 37%. 37%.
Really?
By 2026, 27. It's unaffordable. It's just unaffordable. And I know we have a lot of listeners and a lot of transplants, perhaps, that listen to the podcast of Minnesota. Love to hear your comments on this, what you guys think. If you guys are things that we haven't even talked about, love to hear your comments about about what you've seen, about what you're feeling. Lord knows, just going to the grocery store is as everybody, and whether regardless of what state you live in. How that is impacted, and I'd be curious from our fans that live here in Minnesota. Are you planning to be here in the next 5 years or 4 years, what have you? So,
Hey, one thing I'll share too. I'd watched a documentary just to kind of understand a little bit more about Tim Walz, but I'll show you. Again, this is on the Daily Wire too, but it's called "The Fall of Minneapolis." And it really kind of exposes Tim Walz's leadership in that time, and it really goes in depth in the Minneapolis police. Jeremy, to your question, you'd get a lot of insight into that. Again, I think it is part of the paid membership at Daily Wire, but I really recommend it because it is very insightful into what happened there, and just you can see, back to Ryan's point, like when the need of leadership is the greatest. you saw an abdication of responsibility there, and the resulting impact on people who were very committed to law and order and the way a government should run and those types of things. We're just incredulous at the decisions being made. No, we're not going to support you. No, you're on your own. We got it, because we're just scared of the politics of it. What are we doing? Throwing away everything that we have for what? Because people are up in arms on something they don't even understand, right? It jump to conclusions, and the government just lets them run afoul of everything. It's unbelievable.
One thing of note, I will say that I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but before Tim Walz was announced as the vice president, the BLM group came out against Kamala Harris. They said that they would not support her, and I found that curious because a couple days later, then Tim Walz is announced as the vice president. Tim Walz is a definite supporter of the BLM organization because of his actions here in Minnesota and his relationship with them through Minnesota, because they are so have such a voice here. And I don't know if that was in the a part of the decision to bridge that relationship, because they are such a powerful organization.
Three quick comments and I'll be done. First of all, I had a high school classmate who I ran into. We had our 30th class reunion last weekend. That was fun. And he's a police officer. He was a police officer in the 3rd precinct. And There's a picture of him. You can Google it and you'll see him standing on top of that precinct. And I asked him about it. I said, "Hey, Todd, I saw a picture of you. I was thinking about a colleague and I were talking about the fall of Minneapolis." And he's aware of the picture. And I said, "Did that happen the day before it went down?" And he said, "I think that was the day of." And it was just interesting hearing his perspective. He said, "I don't think anything like that has ever happened in history." And so here I'm thinking, I've now got a high school classmate who is going to have a Google photo for the history books, right? Like a police precinct went down. It was abandoned. When has that happened in American history? I don't know. The second thing is, Don, you and I have gotten together once or twice for a Wolves or a Twins game over the last few years. And I know we've had the conversation, like, do we feel comfortable going to downtown Minneapolis? Right? I mean, after all that transpired, I have to think twice before bringing my family up there. I mean, maybe it's gotten a little bit better, but our earlier conversations, you're like, yeah, no, this is not the place to be ever since 2020. And then the third thing is, Kenny, we will trade you our governor for your governor.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Straight up, huh?
That sounds like a Ryan trade. That sounds like exactly
a second round pick.
Ryan trade.
That is a Ryan trade for sure. That's not to be a win for me. Don, what is this payroll tax thing? I mean, real quick here. I haven't heard about. Is this just the Minnesota portion, or is this going to happen to everybody?
No, it's a payroll tax for the Minnesota portion. It's as part of his family leave act that he passed just recently, and Minnesotans will begin to see their payroll tax, Minnesota state tax, start to increase on their paycheck. By 2026, 27, it will be 37% higher. They're guesstimating. I mean, that's just the preliminary guesstimates. They just still don't even know exactly how high it could go.
It's just so wrong. It's so wrong.
That links to some of the economic proposals that Kamala had, though, right? You talk about capital gains tax, like just astronomical taxes on things that would just drive it's so staggering that it would even come out of her mouth. But it's thanks to what that's what it is. Tax everybody, but say we're just taxing the rich. If you make more than $10 an hour, you're rich, I guess.
Yeah, it's so clear what they're doing. It's all about ultimate control at some point, and it's going to have. They want to have this elite group that's ultimately in control of everybody. But anyways, that's another conversation, I suppose. Man.
Wow. Well, Don, thanks for Thanks for that topic. You took us deep in that. And Mr. Walls, has anything else you want to touch on before we move on?
That's all I can stomach for now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta brighten things up here.
Yeah, Kenny, like lift us up out of this.
Man. All right. All right. Well, last time, Don.
You're gonna win so much.
Don was our victor. First time ever. I believe.
Guy wins one time. and Kenny was I side with him just so everybody remembers that. Not form a committee. We just let it happen.
Okay. I think I had a connection issue there. I think I'm back. All right. So Don, we're gonna go Don, Ryan, Matt, then Jeremy tonight. So we're gonna try to do the same thing as always. 2 Bible questions, 2 other questions. The additional questions are going to be school related, since we are in the midst of everybody starting up school. Either my daughter's already started. I think some other people are starting next week or in a week and a half. So we're gonna have a couple school related questions.
Hey Kenny, quick question, kind of based on that. Were these questions asked in Minnesota or Florida? Because it might impact my draw on the answers.
It's a national 2 from every state.
I'm sure.
Sounds like something else.
2 from every state. Oh, brother.
Yeah, we surveyed 100 people, 2 from every state. Let's go. All right, here we go. Question number 1. Don, name one of the 7 churches mentioned in Revelation.
I'm going to go Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. That is the number 3 answer for 17 points.
Nice.
All right.
Good.
Ryan.
I'll go with Laodicea.
Laodicea. That is the number 2 answer. Let's see. That is 18 points.
Oh, that was mine.
All right, Matt. Number 1 answer is still available for you.
Smyrna.
All right, that is the number 4 answer for 11 points. Jeremy, the door is wide open for you.
Oh, let's go with. Did I hear Laodicea or did I glitch?
Yeah. Laodicea,
Ryan
Philadelphia, and Smyrna are off the board.
Okay, so I stopped a little bit. I'm going to go with Ephesian Church.
Yes, that is the number 1 answer. Ephesus for 29 points.
Nice.
All right, so 4 for 4. Well done. We'll see. Let's see. Nobody's looking at their phones, right? A couple of these might be tough. I don't know if I could have come up with them. All right, Don, back to you. There's 3 left.
Those are the. Oh, there's one that I could think of. I know it's not the name, but it's because I remember when I read about it, it was like purgatory. It sounded like purgatory, but it's not purgatory. It's like purg something. Is that close enough? Will that get me in?
Well,
oh, this is tough.
This
is tough.
Woo! You know what? I'm feeling generous, and the reason why is the number 7 answer.
Man,
7.
That's Pergamum, right?
Pergamum. There you go.
Pergamum.
Yep.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Purgatory.
Purgatory.
All right, you Catholic. Good grief.
How many points was that for number 7?
Just 3 points.
All right, that's pretty good.
So we thought we'd give it to him. Ryan, there's 2 answers left. The number 5 and the number 6 answers are available for you.
All right, I'm going to go with Thyatira.
All right, good memory. That is the number 6 answer, worth 8 points.
Oh, you got thyroid.
Hang on. My Excel spreadsheet is not cooperating either. All right, Matt, 1 left. Do you have it?
It's the only one I got. I'm thinking Cappadocia.
That is not one of the 7.
That was the only other one I thought of. I couldn't think of it.
So, Shave, the number 5 answer is still available for you. Last of the 7.
Thyatira was the last one I had in my mind. Man. I know it's not Rome, but that's my answer. I don't remember.
Yeah, it is not. It is Sardis.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. So let me get this one.
Yes.
All right.
I don't know. You know what? Because I'm a Doctor Who fan. And I would ride with TARDIS. That's why.
That's right. Yeah. So, Don, you're a Doctor Who fan?
Oh, love the Doctor.
Oh,
not the later episodes, not these later episodes, but these the first.
I had an employee back at TCF. I had an employee who, I mean, he just openly told me what his passwords were. His password always was TARDIS 1, TARDIS 2, and I'm like, I had no idea what it was. Because I'd never seen Doctor Who. But then he finally he filled me in. So that's hilarious. All right. Well, Jeremy, with that number one answer, you are in first with 29, Ryan 26, Don 20, Matt 11. So Ryan, you're going to get to go first on the second question. This one, I'm just going to warn you, there may be some different versions of the Bible that people answered out of. Because again, I didn't. Yeah, some of these were sketchy in my book, but we'll see. The question is, it's just the bottom few answers. Top 8 answers on the bottom few. To me, I don't recall. But all right, Ryan, name a offering or sacrifice mentioned in the Old Testament. A type of offering or sacrifice named in the Old Testament.
Lamb.
I am going to count that one this is the one that I don't, but there's a meat offering that 3 people said meat offering. And
so he's just getting the 3-point one, right?
Yeah, it's just a 3-point.
Okay. All right. Good.
What?
Good.
Yeah, lamb. Yeah.
It's good work.
Let me just spreadsheet working here. Ryan. 3 points for you, Matt.
Can you repeat the question? I just need
name an offering or sacrifice mentioned in the Old Testament. A type of offering or sacrifice. So someone call them a sacrifice, but a type of offering or sacrifice.
Like a sin offering, like forgiveness, or however you'd say that.
You got it, man. No, you got it. Sin offering is actually the number 2 answer for 24 points.
Good.
So you're on the right track there, Jeremy.
Well, I've got a couple. I'm trying to think. I'm just going to go with a grain offering.
That is on the board. Oh my computer is just not cooperating. The grain offering is on the board for 10 points.
What number was that?
That was the number 4 answer. My apologies. 4 answer for 10 points.
Okay.
So the one answer is still up there.
The number 1 answer is still available for Don to jump right into the lead here. Don, you got it?
Well, I don't know. Is it as simple as a burnt offering?
Well, I don't know. Is that your answer?
Well, I mean, I feel yeah, I want to say a burnt offering. I think that's
Don. It's that simple. That's the number 1 answer.
Yes.
Burnt offering.
Wow.
For 26 points.
It's Don and Schaefer going at it.
Man.
Yeah.
I had that thought, but like you cased it. I know these people read a different version of the Bible, so I'm thinking, what?
We're good. Hey. What do we got?
Ryan, say pigeon. Say pigeon.
Ryan, what do you got? So the numbers 3, 5, 6, and 8 are all available.
I'll go with clean.
I'm sorry, what?
Kenny, don't worry, I got it.
Lean.
I got it.
Push that button. Yeah, when we don't win, we don't win.
All right,
there were clean and unclean sacrifices. What's goofy about that?
You said clean sacrifice. Okay, we got you.
I got it.
It's not up there.
In case you didn't hear the first one.
As
Can you do it again, Matt?
who is it? Is it Tommy Boy? Where he's like, I guess that's your theory. I guess that's your version of the Bible. Okay, go on.
Gone question this is.
That's such a great question.
All right,
All right,
Matt.
my turn. I'm going to
Yep.
say peace. Peace.
There
offering.
you go. Matt's got this. He's got that's 17 points. Number 3 answer.
Preach.
All right. Okay, Jeremy. 3 answers left: the 5, 6, and 8.
All right, I'm going to go with a living sacrifice. A living
boy,
sacrifice.
Is that a
good
New
answer.
Testament one though? That's a New Testament reference.
Yeah, it's not on the
isn't it?
board, but that's a good thought. No, it's not on the board. But I like where your head's at there though.
Jeremy's a whole Bible kind of guy. He can't just partition it just to the Old Testament for this.
Right.
Yeah, you can't.
I'm trying to think of what these goners picked.
Well, we'll see. Maybe you guys will be like, "Oh yeah, that's right. Those are in there. I just didn't remember them." So,
all right,
Don, one more chance at this. Number 5, 6, and 8.
5, 6, and 8. Okay, I feel good about this one.
Yeah.
Let's say a blood offering.
No.
What?
No. No, I don't remember. I don't think there was. I don't remember one being called a blood sacrifice. I mean, that'd probably be like a meat or an animal, but
Yeah.
But
I'm
all right.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll take a stab at one. I know I can't get any points. Like, is there like a thankfulness or a remembrance offering?
Not according to the survey.
Okay.
So it might
Wow.
be.
I'm curious to hear these last three because I.
Okay.
All right,
So-
well, I got one. If
All
this
right.
is on here and I didn't get it, I'm going to be really upset that I didn't get this. Is
What?
there a red heifer offering?
That is the number 8 answer. No.
Don, if another testament is written here in the next couple of years, the red heifer sacrifice will be in it.
Oh, for sure.
It's
Then-
in Deuteronomy. What are you talking about? Read your book in Deuteronomy.
How many times have they been sacrificed though? What? Just 2
9.
times in history, right?
9
One
times.
at the end-
9 times.
9 times?
9 times.
They built the temple 9 times?
They call me Donnie 10 times because that 10 times is going to be the red heifer.
Oh wow.
Oh boy.
I did not know that. Wow.
Well,
Now that's why we call you Donnie 10 times.
I honestly didn't know. So are you serious, Don? 9 times the red heifer sacrifice has occurred?
If you would have read the last episode, in our last episode, yes, I made mention to there's a possibility that it has been offered up 9 times. Yes.
okay. I don't think
Wow.
Pastor McLaughlin mentioned that, so I don't know. I don't know if I believe it. So all right, guys, you missed the number 5 answer was a guilt offering,
Okay.
and then number 6 was
I should know now when I offer those up every day.
Nice. So number 6 was
Are you
trespass.
Catholic or Jewish or what are you, Don? I'm
Yeah,
confused.
Don.
Right.
All right, what else do we got? Oh, and then number 8 was a drink offering.
Huh.
It was like 2 people said that, so I don't even know if that's I don't know. So
They're probably from Wisconsin.
right.
It's true. They're doing it right now a whole lot. Sunday night. We're good.
Exactly. Oh man. Okay. Well, we've got a fairly tight battle here. Matt, you took the lead with those number 2 and 3 answers. So 52 for Matt, 46 for Don, 39 for Jeremy, and 29 for Ryan. And Matt gets to start the 3rd question. Okay, going to school related. So something a student does behind their teacher's back.
Wow. Passes a note.
Matt, that is the number 5 answer for 10
Wow.
points.
It's not going to be good enough.
Yeah, I think in our day that probably would have been the number 1 answer.
Oh boy.
Because that's one of the first things I would have thought of too, for sure. So that's the number 5 answer off the board. Jeremy, right up your alley.
Makes a face.
It is on the board. That's the number 6 answer for 5 points.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. Kids disrespect in different ways now. So,
Oh
all right.
boy.
Don, a chance to take over the lead here.
I'm going to say cheats.
Don, you are in the mind of the people right now. That is
Man.
the
Wow.
number 1 answer for 27 points.
Wow.
All right, Ryan. Gonna make a move here. Gonna try to get that number 2 answer.
Yeah, I'm going to say talk. They talk to each other behind the teacher's back.
That is the number 2 answer for 20 points.
Yep. Well, 11 years in the classroom, I learned a few things.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. All right, Matt. Number 3, number 4, and number 7. Oh, by the way, the top 7 answers were on the board. So number 3, 4, and 7 are available.
Behind the back. Boy, I'm blanking. I don't know. Throw something, paper airplane, hit somebody. I don't know.
You like that answer, but no, we used to do the spitballs. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We did so many spitballs. Oh, it was brutal. The poor girl. I can't believe my wife married me. We just talked about this the other day, the spitballs that I used to just fly in her face. It's like, what was I thinking? Anyways, that's it's fantastic.
And folks, are we talking college now? This was college, right?
Yeah, we did wet willies in college, but no, spitballs were in high school. Yeah. Oh man. All right, Jeremy. 3 answers available. 3, 4, and 7 are available for you.
Let's see.
Okay, go
I'm going to say sneak something to eat.
That's actually a really good answer, and that did not make the board.
What?
Really good answer.
Wow.
Man. I can't believe that's not on the board. Seriously. Okay. Yeah, I definitely did a lot of that too. Don. Chance to extend your lead.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I did when the teacher had her back to me. And that's why I was so good at it. I could get away with it every time. Man, I was really good at it. So let's think with this come easy. One thing I did was sneak out. Is that in there? Sneak out.
Sneak out. Done. That is the number 7 answer. So you did you extended your lead by 3 points with that answer.
I'll take it.
Respectable.
Yeah. So leave class or disappear. Yeah. All right. Ryan, one more shot. The number 3 and the number 4 answers are available for you.
Yeah, I think I've got one of them. I'm gonna go with make a noise like pass gas or something like that.
Well, it's interesting because I was about to give you the points for this one, but I don't think I can. We're gonna let the other guys decide. When you said make a noise, I was gonna give you credit for laugh, but then you said passing gas, which is not part of that. So
that's fine. I'm with you.
Yeah. So laugh.
I'd say thumbs down. I'm fair and ethical. I say thumbs down.
Yeah. If you would have just left it make a noise, I would have given you that one. That's you said too much. Let's see. So the number 3 answer was text.
Oh, that's you tried to hint at that
number 1
saying,
yeah. That probably it's crazy. I mean, thankfully my daughter can't have her. She can't even have her phone at school, which is I'm glad. But yeah, that's so. Anyways, texting and then laughing. Laughing was the number 4 answer. So we've got the Don 76 trying to go back to back here.
Wow.
Matt 62, Ryan 49, and Jeremy. That was a rough round for you. Back to 44.
What's Matt have?
62. So 76, 62, 49, 44. Definitely based on the scoring of the last one, it is anybody's game. So, and Jeremy, you get the shot at number 1 answer here first. So
S.
There
Do it.
All right. Jeremy, name something that teachers give their students.
Homework.
There we go.
Number 1?
Number 1 answer, 31 points.
Oh, S.
Yeah, put you right in the mix. Put you in the mix for a moment. We'll see what Donnie has to say about that, though. Don?
Boy, I'm going to say they give them a pass, like a hall pass, restroom pass.
No, that did not make the board.
Good work, Don.
Don lit the
Hit right
doors.
before Ryan. All you got to do is make contact. Put the ball in play.
Air ball.
That was air ball.
Pretty sure the ball got stuck between the backboard and the rim.
Jammed in there.
Matt's pretty happy about that turn of events.
I think Ryan did that once in a game.
Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. All right, Ryan, are you going to try to tighten up this game here with a number 2 answer?
Straight up.
All right, Paula Abdul, let's go. Let's hear it.
Oh, come on. You all know this. Teachers give grades to students.
Oh man. Look at you. The number 2 answer for 26 points.
Thanks. Appreciate it, DG.
This is fantastic. All right, Matt, what do you got?
Well, Don inspired me. I try to think of him back in the school days, and so I'm going to say detention, discipline, punishment.
That is also, you guys, this is fantastic. I mean, that was a good answer. It actually is not on the board.
Yeah.
It's a good
Detentions
answer.
aren't around anymore.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But I got to read you this. So you each have one more shot at a guess here. And Matt, I'm going to tell you right now, if the 3 of you, besides Matt, don't get anything that's on the board, Matt can win the game with the number 3 answer. So the scores are Don 76, Ryan and Jeremy both have 75. And then Matt has 62.
That's horse manure.
So Jeremy, just like you said, you just gotta hit one of these, and Matt cannot overtake you.
All right.
So, what do you got?
Teachers often give their students encouragement.
He did it. The number 6 answer.
All right, nice.
Which is enough to seal at least
6
points. Only 6 for 4 points.
Oh,
yeah, I know. People aren't into that mushy stuff nowadays.
Jeremy, you got the clubhouse lead, buddy. Like you're in the
He
clubhouse.
does have the lead, but let's see,
right?
Don,
Clubhouse lead.
Don, for the moment, let's see what Don has to say about that.
All right, I'm going to say.
Don, there's number 3, 4, 5, and 7 are available for you.
All right. Sorry, Shafe, to do this to you. Short-lived lead, but it is. The answer is dirty look.
Hold on a sec. I got this. I got it.
Come on.
That's a terrible.
How many dirty looks that teacher is giving me? Come on.
It'll get you fired these days. You can't give a kid
Exactly. You get a dirty look and you know.
It's like you're like Baldelli in the later innings, just poor decision making. Poor judgment.
Wait. Come out in the hallway. I have a ruler. Put your hand out.
Right. We slapped their hands with a ruler. Exactly. Oh my goodness, Ryan, this is an opportunity for you. This is it.
Unfathomable.
This is your time. Thank you, Lord, for my years in education. It finally, I see the light now. It's all for this moment.
Oh my
Kenny,
goodness.
I would like to add to my total and say they give students a note to bring to their parents.
Jeremy with the win. Nice work, buddy.
So Matt, if you get the number 3 answer, you can get second place here.
I'm gonna think from a positive side. I'm gonna say like knowledge, the ability to think. They give their students the tools they need to succeed. A better opportunity for future and development and such of the like.
Well, all of those were on the board. You got I'm kidding. Knowledge, your first number thing. Knowledge is the number 4 answer for 8 points. So
that's not enough. That's not enough.
So it's interesting how people think. You guys are going to be annoyed by this, by the number 3 answer, because you probably think it ties into the number 2, but the number 3 answer was tests. They give tests, and then they give the grade.
Yeah.
So tests was 15 points. And then number 5 was what stickers, which I guess.
Oh yeah, well, elementary gold stickers, man.
Yeah.
You crushed
and
it,
number
buddy.
7 answer was candy.
Yeah.
So
Miss Willenhouse always had like the peanut M. Don, you didn't have Miss Willenhouse in 5th grade?
No,
the peanut M&Ms. That was unbelievable.
I had Deb Hudson. Remember we had
Well, she was great too, but
Andy
she didn't have
Hudson, she didn't give out candy to us. She was a first year. I had her first year. She wasn't into that yet.
So, apologies, Deb. We didn't mean to.
Well,
Don didn't mean to drag your name through the mud because you didn't give him candy. God knows he didn't need that. He was
Hey,
already.
I'm going to visit Deb in about 2 weeks, so I'll give them your regards. I'll tell them hi for you.
That's
I'll
awesome.
bring the candy back.
Well, you guys,
I want a box of Kit Kats on my door.
Oh, Don. Kit Kats are so good. Hey, that was the closest friendly feud we have ever had. Jeremy wins with 79, Don 76, Ryan 75, Matt 70.
Wow, that's fun.
Game.
Good job,
Pretty good.
Jeremy.
Yeah, that was good stuff. All right.
All right. Well, the guy who won now gets to bring the word. So you got some fuel into your spiritual fix your eyes segment, Jeremy.
There we go. There we go. Well, I'll bring us to a close with just a fix your eyes segment. And I guess I want to just talk to our listeners in you guys just briefly and just honestly ask the question, what is the biggest battle that you face right now? What's the biggest worry? What's the biggest care that you have? And for a lot of us, there are some big things. There are things that we can't even fathom that happen in our lives that are just so monumental and so large that we are unable to do anything with the situation, or even if we could, it would be as if we're dropping a drop of water into the ocean and watching it some big significance, and it's just not. And I want to go to 1 Peter chapter 5. I've read through 1 Peter, actually all the letters of Peter, but particularly the first letter of Peter over the last maybe 3 weeks. And I just cannot get over how amazing chapter 5 is. He's talking to elders, he's talking to pastors and people who are responsible for the flock. And I just want to read just a little bit until we get down to verse 7 and give us a little bit of a challenge. In chapter 5, verse 1, it says, "So I exhort the elders among you as a fellow elder and a witness of the sufferings of Christ, as well as a partaker in the glory that is going to be revealed. Shepherd the flock that God is among you, exercising oversight, not under compulsion, but willingly, as God would have you, not for shameful gain, but eagerly, not domineering over those in your charge, but giving examples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the unfading crown of glory. Likewise, you who are younger." So now he switches gears and says, "You who are younger, likewise, you who are younger, be subject to the elders. Clothe yourselves, all of you, with humility toward one another. For God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble." This first little paragraph, I know that you guys aren't necessarily pastors, but you are leaders of your family. And for all our listeners who are out there, you shepherd your family. And I want to encourage those who are shepherding well to keep doing that. Maybe you need to be encouraged as a shepherd of your home to do better. And maybe you need some help. Maybe you need some mentoring. Maybe you need somebody to come alongside to encourage you. But nonetheless, the example and the encouragement is here. But in verse 6, and just before that, this idea of humility comes. And we all know what humility means. We know the greatest example of humility, where we hear the fact that God humbled himself even to the point of death, the death of the cross. And that was so that God would highly exalt him and give the name that is above every name, that the name of Jesus, every knee shall, every tongue should confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. But he gives us this command, and it's an attribute to be humble, not proud, humble. He says in verse 6, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God." It's not humbling yourself, man. You are to humble yourself under God. That is who you are responsible to. That is who you're responsible to answer to ultimately. And so we are to do that under the mighty hand of God. So at the proper time, he will exalt you. But then he says in verse 7, something that I have just held on to very tightly and dearly, where he says, "Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you." And I want to just entertain this thought for a second. Anxious living, or being anxious, is something you are because you are afraid of something else. So it's actually the fear of something else that causes the anxiety. So it's not anxiety itself, it's something that is linked, that you are afraid of, or that's coming, that you get worried about. And that's the word here. It's the worry or the care or the anxiousness of life. And I want to be careful, but I want to just express this. There are things in our life we don't want to face. And there are some things that we can't face because it's too big. There's not enough of us, not enough resources to be able to handle it, but God can. And I just want to look at the statement where it says, cast all your anxieties or your cares on him because he cares for you. The Greek word there, cares or anxiety or worry, actually comes from a root word of which means fractured parts. And all of us have parts of our life that just are fractured. They're just not whole. They're broken. And I want to encourage you guys specifically, but our listeners as well, that when life looks like that and it's a mosaic that's just on the floor, it makes no sense to us and we're in fractured parts. And maybe it's our mind, maybe it's our family, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's money. We're all struggling. You know, we've even spoken of that here, but I know there are people that just struggle big time with just every day. Maybe it's work, maybe whatever it is. And you look at your life and it's just, your hands are full of these pieces. And God here is just telling us literally, just throw them to him. And he cares for every single one of those fractured pieces. So when you read this text and you come to it and you get this idea of, yes, I'm going to cast this one care on Jesus, that's incomplete. He's saying, take all of your fractured life, take all of your fractured pieces and throw them to him because he won't even just catch them. He will take them and he will remake them into the image that he is trying to conform you into this very moment. And so life may be tough, maybe overwhelming. You might not even be spiritually doing well at all. You may just be coasting. I don't know what the situation is, but I want to encourage you that God is who he says he is all the time, no matter what. And it is our job to talk with him and cast these fractured pieces and give them to him and explain to him our worry, explain to him our fear, explain to him why we are anxious and what battle we're going to face that we don't want to face. And then let the blessing of God come on us by him just giving us comfort and peace to allow us to just get through the next day. So if you're struggling with taking that next step, just take it by faith. And Peter will even say that it is faith. We do these things and we need faith. But it's faith in God, not faith in government, not faith in friends, not faith in other things. Those things can help. But God is asking us to do that with him, in a relationship with him. So let me encourage you guys today. Throw your fractured pieces to God. And to our listeners, maybe that will be just a little bit of an encouragement as well.
Cool. Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate that good word. Well, that is a wrap on episode 77 on this, the 25th day of August, year of our Lord, 2024.